Throughout The Sopranos, we see Tony being followed by Agent Harris as they face off in a cat-and-mouse game of cop and criminal. The two adversaries at first are leery of each other, but eventually a respect is gained. As the war between the Jersey Mafia and the New York's Lupertazzi family heats up, we see Agent Harris give Tony a helpful tip about a possible attempt on his life. Agent Harris, perhaps feeling grateful for Tony passing off the tip about the Arabs from the Bing.
Got a name?
What was named Ahmad or Jamali?
Remember that thing I told you about that was supposed to happen about a year ago? Your problem with Brooklyn? It's on again, possibly. If it was real solid, you would have been warned officially by the Newark office.
In the final episode of the show, Agent Harris's partner comes into his office while he is reviewing terror videos and tells him that Phil Leotardo was shot, to which Agent Harris responds, "We're gonna win this thing."
Yo, beat. Phil Leotardo got popped.
Damn, we're gonna win this thing.
The line is left up for interpretation, but it's highly implied that he's rooting for Tony to win the New York-New Jersey gang war. This line, and part of this scenario, is based on a real-life relationship between Lynn Del Vecchio and Gregory the Grim Reaper Scarpa. Scarpa was an infamous mobster with a long and storied history, a double, triple, and quadruple dealer who had been an FBI informant since the 1960s. Following an arrest, he decided to become an informant to avoid being jailed for the charge. It seems that Scarpa used this as an opportunity to give the feds misinformation, often telling them about his rivals' illicit deals. This arrangement continued for many years, and Scarpa was even tapped to help find the bodies of missing civil rights workers. Eventually, agents running Scarpa retired, and Gregory and the FBI's relationship fell silent for a while. It was later rejuvenated in the 1980s when an up-and-coming FBI agent named Lynn Del Vecchio inquired with a retired agent about possible informants for use in the Colombo family, to which the agent showed him Scarpa. At first, Scarpa was cagey and wouldn't engage with Del Vecchio. As time went on, he began to open up and give information, with, I'm sure, some spin on it. Additionally, it's likely that Scarpa, ever the manipulator, decided that he may be able to manipulate Del Vecchio for his own benefit. It was rumored that, as much as Scarpa provided Del Vecchio with information, Del Vecchio also accepted small favors and gifts from the Grim Reaper. In one instance, Scarpa got Del Vecchio a hard-to-find Cabbage Patch doll. In other instances, Scarpa arranged for women to sleep with the FBI man. We see this mirrored in Agent Harris's relationship with the TSA agent. This relationship continued for a while before things really came to a head. In the early 1990s, the Colombo family fell into a bloody civil war. Carmine the Snake Persico, the long-serving boss, was in prison for the rest of his life and had been trying to save the family for his son, Alphonse Little Alley Boy Persico, who was also serving a weapons charge, but due to be released.
The war is between two factions of the Colombos, one of New York's 5 organized crime families. One faction, loyal to Carmine Persico, the old boss, now serving 100 years in prison. The other faction, loyal to Vic Arena, the new boss, who has gone into hiding since the war began.
The family was being held for him by Little Vic Arena. Arena decided he could do better and that the Persicos were not to be trusted with the future of the family. He tried to get the captains to vote the Persicos out of leadership and him into power. The plan backfired when one of the men told Carmine of Arena's plans to take over the family. This ignited a war. On one side, Carmine Persico and his loyalists, including Greg Scarpa, and on the other side, Vic Arena and his. Bullets whizzed and bodies fell all over Brooklyn as the fighting became out of hand. Innocent people were caught up in the crossfire, and the FBI and police had to do something. Mass arrests and a general hassling of the Colombos and other mafia families had the New York Mafia in upheaval. In a desperate attempt to end the bloodshed, Del Vecchio began to lean on his favorite informant, Scarpa. Scarpa in turn let Del Vecchio know where Vic Arena was hiding out and had him arrested, on the premise of a large gun cache that was found at Arena's safe house.
Tony said you should unlock the closet and give me the scoopette, he called it.
Arena was indicted and eventually convicted on a series of murders and murder conspiracy charges related to the Third Colombo War. Here's where things get fishy. Arena claimed that the guns were planted at his hideout by Scarpa with cooperation from Del Vecchio. Additionally, it was claimed that Scarpa was given the location of his rivals in the war. In one particular hit, the murder of Nicky Black, Scarpa drove alongside Nicky's SUV and blasted him in the face with a shotgun, yelling, "This one's for Carmine," referring to the imprisoned family boss, Carmine Persico.
Multiple calls traced back to a payphone in Oyster Bay, Long Island.
What? Where's the phone at exactly?
Gas station, most likely.
Gas station?
He's lambed out. He may not be able to put his hands on a clean cell phone.
All right, listen, thanks. Really.
All right.
Get a 60-day supply of the platinum.
In 1993, at the end of the Colombo War, Scarpa died of AIDS in a bizarre tale involving a blood transfusion.
Today, Gregory Scarpa is under house arrest and under 24-hour surveillance. He's facing 2 murder charges and a death sentence from AIDS.
It's a killer. No question about it. It's a killer, and I accept it. Maybe I'll get lucky and get a heart attack and not die of the AIDS virus. Heart attack, bango. It's all over.
By this time, Arena had been convicted and was going to jail. DeVecchio's colleagues began to believe that something shady had happened between him and Scarpa. After they walked into DeVecchio's office to inform him of the aforementioned Nicky Black murder, DeVecchio slammed his hand on the desk and declared, "We're gonna win this thing."
Seen Metro News? No. Your old beat, Finley and Tardo got popped.
Damn. We're gonna win this thing.
And they began to complain to superiors. As the years went by, internal investigations gave way to criminal ones. The internal FBI probe had cleared him of any wrongdoing, and Lynn chalked it up to a misunderstanding by less experienced FBI agents on the handling of an undercover informant. A criminal trial finally proceeded based on the testimony of Linda Shiro, the longtime paramour of Scarpa and mother of his children. Shiro had given a newspaper interview which was then used as evidence. She said that DeVecchio had been involved in many murders during the Colombo Wars as well as murders previous, based on tips about cooperators in Greg's crew. The defense began to poke holes in Shiro's testimony and alluded to her being a, let's say, woman of loose morals and therefore unreliable. She backtracked on what she said in her testimony, and her testimony was thrown out. This cleared DeVecchio, and he has since lived as a free man. After the FBI, he ran a private security firm and moved to Florida, where he still lives to this day at 83 years old. In this instance, the writers obviously took not just inspiration, but a direct quote from a crooked FBI agent and put it into the show. This type of relationship also accounts for the give and take between Agent Harris and Tony, as well as their at times jovial relationship. Now, I can't say that I know for sure DeVecchio was guilty of what he was accused of, but I would say there is a good chance, and therefore it made for an interesting and plausible storyline to be added into the show.
Arena's underboss, William Willie Fingers Catola, showed up at the grand jury followed by other Colombo soldiers. Lawyers for the alleged hoods said the grand jury cattle call was harassment.
It seems to me pure and simple that it's an abuse of the system when a district attorney goes out and subpoenas people for no other reason but to inconvenience them and to bring them into this public forum.
It is believed the first time in U.S. history that a prosecutor has attempted to summon an entire crime family before a grand jury.